Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blockchain Brunch, where the alpha is fresh, the coffee is strong, and the hiring tea is hot. I'm Emily, the president of the Crypto Recruiters, and today we'll set you up for success with AI in your job hunt. We're going to walk you through this process together. So this session will be recorded and clipped up, so you can go back and watch it anytime. So I am so excited to introduce you to my longtime friend, Vincent. Vincent, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great.
Good.
So happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here too. We're going to help a lot of people. I'm excited for this process. So Vincent is an AI strategist and product marketing expert. He's got 19 years of experience translating complex technologies into compelling human-centered stories. So as vice president of marketing and a fractional CMO and an advisor to several startups in blockchain and AI, Vincent applies his expertise to the job search process. So with over 170 certifications, oh my God, including a machine learning and AI implementation and data analysis from Microsoft and Google, he's going to show us the hands-on process for targeting your communications in a noisy world. So whether you're crafting your first resume, pivoting your career, or looking to climb the ladder in tech, Vincent offers practical strategies to make AI work for you, not against you, in your job search. So Vince, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. That sounded probably much more impressive than I actually am, but we'll see how it goes.
I highly disagree with you. I think you're one of the more impressive marketers that I've met. So this is going to be a hands-on workshop focused mainly on two tools: process with blah, 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 projects within Anthropic's Claude and Google's Notebook ML. So Vince, do you want to tell us, with using them, what we're going to generate today?
Sure. And while I'm talking, why don't you go ahead and open Claude if you haven't already.
Yeah, share your screen.
Just so we can go along. What we're going to be generating, first of all, in Claude, and these tools are kind of interchangeable. Everybody's going to have preferences on which one they like for what purpose. I kind of bang around in all of them just because it allows me to do things differently. Probably not the most efficient, but there it is. So what we'll be doing is we're first going to be generating with Claude a project that you can reuse over and over and over to generate custom CVs and custom cover letters and make them sound better than generally the AI output can sound a little cliche. You've probably read things where it starts with the sentence, "in the ever-changing world of blah, blah, blah." That's usually a sign of ChatGPT. But there's ways to get around that. Everything we generate, absolutely, positively, always review manually by yourself. Do not ever send a copy and paste to a potential employer, or really anybody, because you just don't know what you're going to say. And if they come back and you actually do get the interview, they'll say, "Well, what about this thing?" And you'll be like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." So, but what we're going to be doing is creating this little engine that you can generate templates. And as you generate them, you can continuously add them into the project. So the project becomes smarter and smarter. What we're doing is we're building a little GPT just for you, all about you. So we'll get to know you more and more, and we'll get to know your writing style and what you value, what you think. And so we're going to be starting with that, and it's going to be churning out something where it's going to ask 4 areas, which is it's going to tell you what you're good at, or answer 4 areas, what you're good at right now, what you're interested in. So like I plugged in all those certifications. I'm like a nut for like LinkedIn Learning and Google Cloud and all the online learning things. So I plugged in those, and it gives the model an idea what I'm interested in, where I want to go. And then the third thing, it'll be like who you are as a candidate. And what that is, it's a summary that basically says when you meet someone like Emily, or you're talking to an employer, they'll go, "So tell me about yourself." And this gives you some notes you can rattle off. I actually do a sneaky thing sometimes, not all the time. I'll post this behind my screen so I can look thoughtfully and then answer something and be a little more summarized because that's one of my particular weaknesses is I tend to ramble. So I put notes around me. I have notes next to me. And you can actually, if you have notes next to you or you're taking notes, you can often tell an interviewer, hey, I have notes, I'm taking notes. This tells them kind of how you think. And the fourth thing, it'll tell you some jobs you should target. And what I did was I looked for 4 categories of within the subset of marketing, because like AI and like everything else, the fields keep changing. And so like today, everyone will be like, hey, how many years do you have in performance marketing? Well, that term didn't exist so many years ago, or growth marketing, and they also use those terms in different ways. So this will give you some ideas. Like one of my feedback was I need to target product marketing because that's really what I do a lot. Content marketing can be good. General strategy and integration of tools like AI and blockchain, because marketing is called in to do some of those things. So it'll give you an idea of little buckets of what you want to do. And so it'll tell you where you are now, where you're going, and where you should focus your efforts. And then you can add that document to your Claude project. And this makes it, again, smarter and smarter and helps it tell you, how to do things. So that's the big first portion. The second portion is we're going to be using Notebook LM to learn about who you're talking to. And we're going to combine these tools. I like Notebook LM for this purpose because, for instance, and I'll show you, I look up the person I'm talking to, the CEO of the company, or just their website, their product descriptions on YouTube. And I'll plug in those videos directly into Notebook, because I could spend, some of them are like 45 minutes long, and I have spent 5-6 hours watching all these videos, but sometimes we don't have that kind of time. But we still need to know that information. And the other thing is, so you can plug that into Notebook LM along with the person you're meeting. You can plug in their LinkedIn profile. You could plug in Emily's profile. She has lots of stuff on YouTube. And you can ask the Notebook LM, what do they value? What are their idioms of speech? Are they somebody who's more thoughtful and laid back? Do they want to see written proposals, or do they want somebody who can talk on the fly? And this will give you just some kind of tips. But the other thing it can do is it can generate a briefing document all about the company, all about where they're going, what projects they're working on. And you can ask it for things like, what are their pain points that may not be listed in the job description? This is a really strong thing for an interview, is being able to come in and go, instead of just talking about me, here's what I did in the past, making it all about them and saying, I see you have an issue with user acquisition. You're doing good. Your numbers are X, use real numbers, but we could get that conversion rate double. And here's how. Because they really don't care about what you did yesterday. They want to know where you're going to take them tomorrow. And so being able to say, here's how I'm going to double your conversion rates exactly in a 5-step process. They like numbers. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. You can summarize. It looks like free work, but it's really not, because executing matters more than ideas. Everybody has ideas. Very few people can execute. And then once that goes in, I'll show you another little trick that I like to do, is that on Notebook LM, you can create a podcast with 2 voices. You can now do it in other languages. So if English, it may not be launched yet, but soon you will be able to. So if English is not your first language, you can have 2 voices talk about this application process in your native language, and then you'll feel more comfortable when you talk to the people. The trick here is I put in the job description, I put in my resume, I put in that briefing document all about the company, their pain points, and then I sneak in those videos about who I'm going to be meeting with, the CEO, what they talk like, and then I'll actually show you all these prompts as well. I'll put them in the chat, and we'll send them afterwards, or they'll be recorded. And I'll say, prep me for this job interview. Tell me my strengths. I think a really important part is tell me 3 weaknesses I have that an interviewer is going to look at my resume and say, he's good, but he's weak here, here, and here. And then tell me how to overcome those weaknesses. If you've been in a lot of interviews, and if you have a chance to be on interview panels or interview other people, just even listening, what you'll find and what I found is that I'll be meeting somebody and they're like, they're not my top candidate, but we should meet them. And they'll come in and they'll say, hey, I don't have the 3 to 5 years experience in that particular tool that you're asking for. But what I do have is this, and here's how it solves that problem you had. And suddenly it becomes not about the tool. I've forgotten they don't have that experience. All I care about is they're resolving that problem. And it demonstrates how they think and that they're a problem solver on the fly. They see a problem, they don't just stop, they resolve it. And then it'll go into this little audio podcast chatty thing where these 2 people will analyze my resume and the job description, because I apply for jobs all the time, just like everybody else. And it actually will use my name. It'll be like, hey, Vincent, we see that you have so many years in this. And they even close at the end, they're like, you got this. Good job. AI is very encouraging lately, which is just a really nice, takeaway. And so then I listened to that audio the night before, right before I go to bed. So it's percolating in my dreamy brain. And then in the morning, right before the interview. So in addition to all my notes, I've got an audio map, and it just helps me feel more confident. I speak more fluidly. I summarize better. And so those are the 2 big tools we'll be using. And first one, Claude, all about me, and how I fit the job, and generating a resume and a cover letter and all that kind of stuff. Notebook LM, all about them and how I fit them. So those are the 2 big chunks. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to open Claude by now.
Should I share my screen, Vince, or do you want to share your screen?
Either one. Let me start with Claude. I'll share mine.
While you're doing that, want to say hi to Madeline. Good morning, fam. Torsten, great to see you here. SM, good morning. And then we've got a comment. I always work through their pain points and touch on how the role aligns with that program. Love the Notebook LM for that. I've done podcast options and I've been helpful for pitches. Raymond says, good tips being shared on this call. So let us, are you ready for this?
I am.
Best outlay here. I think this is as good as it's going to get.
All right. So here's my Claude account. And I have started a new project, and those are up in the left-hand corner. There's this little sidebar menu, and you can start a new project. And then within the project, you can do a chat. But what I really want is, let's go projects. You can tell I use this for absolutely everything. I've got all kinds of crazy things in here. And we're looking for this field over here, the project knowledge. Hopefully I'm jumping back and making sure that I'm still on the right screen. And I want to add project knowledge. And you can see I have all kinds of stuff in here. So on a new project, I'm going to start a brand new one just so that you can kind of see how this goes. So let's start a new project. Go to all projects, new project, and I'll call this, my profile for jobs. And what you're trying to achieve is both notes for you and the LLM. So it's nice to put in a machine to generate cover letters. One of the best things about AI is it doesn't mind my spelling errors. It knows what I mean for the most part.
Here,
All
here.
right. So then project knowledge, I think you can drag and drop. Let's try. Yes. So what I did there was I just uploaded one of my recent resumes, and then I downloaded my entire, it just calls it profile, but this is my entire LinkedIn profile. And then I also will tend to put in, oh, like it doesn't always have all the list of classes. So if you do have a lot of classes, you can put that in here. If you have publications, and publications, you can get pretty wild. So like I've written for small magazines and newspapers doing lifestyle stuff. I've staged stage plays. I've had all kinds of like weird creative writing. Doesn't really matter because the LLM will only choose the things that are relevant for the job applications that you put in. So in the project knowledge, you put all about you. Over here, we're going to put the job description later. But right now, I'm going to jump over to my notes and I'm going to copy and paste a prompt. And the prompts, people kind of get really overwrought about prompt engineering. Tweak them, reuse them. But in my former life, I was a university professor, so an instructional designer. So I tried to write instructions for the LLM as though I were teaching a class. So I'm very precise, like based on my uploaded documents, just so that it knows to look here. Probably not necessary, but it makes me more comfortable. Please analyze my professional profile with these specific sections: what I'm good at, and then I say what I mean by that, like core technical professional strengths based on expertise, blah, blah, blah. What I'm interested in, and then I explain what I mean by that. Who I am as a candidate, jobs I should target. And then I asked it to give me a conclusion. Highlight what makes me most valuable to potential employers. Please be specific and reference the actual number of certifications in each category when relevant. I don't have my certifications in this particular model. I have it in my other one. And I'm looking at this prompt, and as I see it, I actually found something that I think would make it stronger. In the very beginning, I'm going to say acting or act as an executive technical recruiter. And based on my blah, 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 blah. One of the reasons that you tell AI to act in a specific role is it has so much information. It has huge amounts of data. This helps it know what you want. So I really want, like, if I could have all of Emily's time, I would, but she's busy. So I need an AI Emily. So I'll say act as an executive technical recruiter, and I can put like in blockchain, in AI. I can really narrow it down, but I'm just going to do a general one for a minute and click it, and away it goes. Instructions are really important to AI. In the old days, we said, for computers, garbage in, garbage out. All artificial intelligence has really done is make that go faster. Put garbage in, and AI will give you faster garbage and more. And here it gives me a executive recruitment analysis. And so based on my documents, says I'm good at marketing, messaging, go-to-market strategies. And then it gives me like the things that I should probably highlight when I am focusing on a job. So like I'm looking for jobs that need go-to-market strategy because apparently I'm good at that. Cross-functional team leadership. A lot of companies now, you'll see that. So this is just a reminder, I should put that in my application materials. Here's what I'm interested in. This tells me what companies I'm most likely to be happy at. Emerging technologies, data-driven decision-making. I have experience in gaming and educational content and development. So I have to figure out how to make all these fit together. And you can even ask it, like, summarize one sentence, how all my key interests fit together. And I really like this section. Um, who you are as a job candidate. Um, and people say, like, tell me about you. And I can choose whichever one of these most fits the job. So like, I'm really good at translating technology, and here's why. Um, I've scaled companies, and here's the thing. I'm really good at digital transformations. Looking back, I was like, oh yeah, I tend to get into companies right when technology is new. So like I was one of the first Web 1 developers, weirdly enough. And then I went off and helped launch cloud. And I was one of the first people to help launch mobile apps when they weren't a thing yet. So I'm like, okay, I'm really good at transformational, we call them disruptive now. And I'm a team builder with a ROI focus. And I have training in OKRs and KPIs. And that's really good because rather than just saying I'm good, I'm a people person, I work well with teams, I can say with an ROI focus. And here's what I mean by that. And it also will give me like these neat little, people love numbers. And in Aristotelian thought, when you have doubts, people giving you numbers and hard data will help overcome those doubts.
I love numbers and data in a resume. Beautiful.
And you usually only need one number per example. So don't go crazy with the numbers, but give the most salient point for each topic you're trying to prove. And you can estimate. You don't have to be, in fact, many times you shouldn't be exact to the dollar because that's not your data. And giving away internal data from previous employers may make future employers wonder if you're going to treat their data that way. So you can give percentages, dollar amounts. You can do twofold, threefold. And think about when you use numbers, there's several big functions. One of the reasons that I'm talking is that I'm hoping all of you are following along and doing these steps as I'm rambling. But every company has three functions. They make a product, they sell a product, and they ship a product. So all of your examples up here with the numbers should be how you helped them create it. By working cross-functionally, our teams were able to cut development time by 20%. There you go. We were able to find problems with our delivery funnel and resolve it so that we could jump from X number of conversions to Y number of conversions. Comparison, and then you have your sales. We were able to use A/B testing to determine which taglines worked best. Underneath those, there's administrative functions and support functions, and they go across all three groups. And when sometimes people are harder, it feels harder to talk about admin support or technical support. I worked for like companies like T-Mobile and Adobe, where I was doing global field enablement. And what was I really doing? I was like, oh, I was delivering so much training and I was, helping acquisition. But I really wanted to break it down. So start thinking about within those functions, you are generating revenue, you are reducing risk or mitigating risk, and you're cutting cost. So at T-Mobile, I was able to take training for the onboarding from 7 weeks to 5 weeks. I guesstimated how much we were paying them an hour based on minimum wage. And I knew there were 15,000 reps. So I just did basic math. I was not a math major. And I discovered by cutting it from 7 weeks to 5 weeks, I was able to save the company this number of millions of dollars. Is it to the penny accurate? Probably not, but it's close enough. And then I was able to also give them some information about while increasing retention and lowering customer wait times. I didn't have the exact numbers for those, so I just said increasing retention and lowering wait times. Then there's jobs I should target: VP of Product Marketing, Chief Marketing Officer, especially at Web3 blockchain startup companies. Head of Go-to-Market Strategy, that's a new one I hadn't seen before. Director of Marketing Operations and Growth Marketing. And then a great little conclusion. And I take this and I copy and paste it and put it right back into the projects. So just add a little project, and then you can either put it as a document in your Google Drive and pull up stuff. You put it on GitHub. You can upload it as a document, or you can add text. And I usually just copy and paste the text in. And so that gives you some ideas about who you are as a candidate. And then, let's just pull up I'm going to pull up my LinkedIn, maybe. I'm going to try to pull up my LinkedIn. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to go to jobs.
We're still on your Claude, just so you know.
Yeah. Here we are on my LinkedIn. It's loading. Loading. And if there's ever any steps, like right before this presentation, I forgot how to download my LinkedIn profile. And I literally just asked Gemini.
Oh, I got you.
Gemini, remind me how to do this. It's a great little reminder for things. And I go up and I'm clicking on jobs. It's still loading, very slow. It doesn't like me running all these windows all at once. But,
oh, LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn. It's a love-hate relationship. But
is it really love-hate, or is it more hate?
It is very convenient for things. This actually is a really good point. On LinkedIn is using AI, as are pretty much all the ATSs are now AI, and so it's popping up all kinds of little windows now from Emily and all kinds of people.
Hey, at least I responded.
This is true, and it's me saying what documents I tweaked and
we were prepared for this call.
Yes.
For this event.
Almost there.
Really quick, Vince, while you're popping that open, guys, hope you've been enjoying working with Danielle on messages. Definitely want to get back to everybody. So we got a couple options. One, we can have Danielle. We can have me. We can have you interact at Blockchain Brunch. We've got office hours on Friday. We've got just shilling. I don't know what more I can give to you. I'm giving you all the opportunities. I'm doing my best.
So here's a job that I found. And it has that easy apply button. And somebody just said the other day that easy apply means easy reject.
Ooh.
Because basically the amount of time that we spend on, most recruiters only spend a few seconds going through your resume and that sort of thing. But that doesn't mean we should limit ourselves to a few seconds. So I'm going to try to, my computer's not loving, here we go. I'm even going to grab this little thing. I'm just going to copy and paste that. I'm going to go back over here. And I go down and I just copy and paste that job description in. And then I go up to the top. And for some reason, AI likes it when you put little borders. It doesn't really matter what character, but it helps break up the AI. And I will say, please generate a, and I could even say, a tailored CV targeting this job below, using my project knowledge, experience. I'm actually going to sneak up here and just say accurately. For some reason, that helps it not hallucinate as much. And then I like to do things like I will say, open with a one paragraph summary of how I fit this job. Follow with 3 to 5 bullet points that match me to the most important job descriptions or job needs. And then I'll say something like use AP style, which is Associated Press. You can tell I teach journalism. Write at a newspaper reading level. And little fun fact, studies have been done on CEOs and OVCs and all kinds of things. And when people do their pitch decks, they tend to way overwrite. They use fancy words and buzzwords, thinking it makes them sound like they really know the industry. And in blind test, when we give executives things written at like a 7th grade reading level, they come back saying things like, this person really gets it. You're not talking down to them, you're just making it really easy for them to absorb the information, which is really what you want. I forgot the word level.
I love that. This person really gets it. Amazing.
And then I'll say, like, do not sound written by AI. And then I'll say what I mean by that. Do not use superlatives. AI tends to write a little flowery. It's like, I'm so excited to have this impressive job. And, like this, it's very, we don't need that. Do not use superlatives. Use simple sentence structures. What else do I write? Oh, yeah. I love to use the M dash. I've been using it for decades. But for some reason, people now associate it with AI. So I say don't use dashes. And sometimes I'll just be like, cliches. Something like that. I'm going to go through and revise this a little bit anyway. But those are kinds of things. And then I like to add how I want it to close. Oh, I forgot.
While you're doing that, Vince, Max asked, which LLM are you using? You're on Claude currently, right?
I am on Claude.
Okay, keep going.
I'm in Claude projects. I'll say make it less than 1 page. And I'll say close with a CTA focused on the company needs and pain points, as well as how I solve them. You can tell I'm hoping the AI will write better than I am, but I'm just extemporaneously like jotting this off.
You're very brave.
Explicitly offer to connect on LinkedIn. I always ask them to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm one of like 3 Vincent Kovars in the world, so I'm really easy to find online. The other one's in Europe. I think the other 2 are in Europe, and they do something in engineering. So I'm the only marketer Vincent Kovar on the planet. And offer to outline. One of the things in instructional design and education in general is there's this concept of taxonomies of thought, and never write about or have a quick chat. You probably get all the emails I do in LinkedIn where everybody's like, hey, you want to connect for a quick chat? No, I don't.
Can I pick your brain?
Yes. Oh, yes. Can I pick your brain? I thought you were literally.
Sorry. That was, yes. Can I pick your brain? Can I have a moment of your time? Can I discuss collaboration or synergies with you? I hate that word synergy.
And the thing is, it sounds like a waste of time on how I would approach the next 30, 60, 90. And these are, make them, something you do. This is just, I've always written these long proposals. And now I want to summarize and write shorter proposals. And there we go. I go, Claude, generate me this resume. And what I have found is that when you generate a CV targeted toward the job that you're looking for, um, when you do upload it to Quick Apply, I actually even will name the CV, company name, CV BK. So they know this is just for them. And then I copy and paste. I make sure not to put in the the AI thing up above. I go back through and I will almost always put the HTTP, slash slash colon slash slash LinkedIn rather than just doing this. I want to make it as easy as possible for them to click on that. And then I read over this. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds like me because I used to write in AP style. I go back down here. I want to make sure this is all accurate. And with these, like, here's some company, like clients I used to have, HP, Intel, Lenovo, and Alienware. Are they the best clients for this job? Do I want to add more? So I give thought to everything. There's a measure right there I might want to add, like certified in technical, machine learning, technical data analysis, and AI certifications. I have links to my Google badges and my Microsoft Copilot, and I tend to put those links right in there. Almost no one, I don't think anyone's ever clicked on them. That's not the point. It's proof of the pudding. And so I go back through, check all of this.
Hey, Vincent, really quickly, my dog walker is locked out outside.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm going to leave you for a second. I'm going to trust you with blockchain brunch.
All
I
right.
believe in you, and I'll be right back.
And so then there's that. And then if a company does not have an upload option for your cover letter, I believe in cover letters because once a hiring managers tend to use them more than recruiters. Emily could probably correct me on this, but I will go through and actually put the cover letter in the resume document so that it is auto uploaded with it. Workday hates this and some other things, but for the most part, it's usually fine. And then I have this little thing that's customized right here too. NextGen needs a CMO, understands the technical nuances of full stack development, APIs, and blah, blah, blah. And I will go through and I always put this in my language. I tend to notice that I use parentheses a lot. So I will put in parenthetical things in here just so it's my text. And then if I do want a cover letter more than next steps, I can actually say acting as an executive cover letter writer, something like that. And I will say how long I want the cover letter to be, maybe what I want in it. And I can say, usually I don't like cover letters that necessarily just repeat your CV. So I will say guide the reader through my CV. And so they will say, hey, I achieved this and this. And then it will summarize. I did that in 3 positions. You'll find in my CV, this position, this position, this position. It's a great place to put in little summaries like that help the recruiter or the hiring manager or the executive know what they're looking for. And then again, I just repeat the whole thing. Use APA or AP, not APA. AP writing style, write in a professional yet friendly tone. And then always, always, always go through and revise. I also do a lot of email outreach for companies, B2B outreach, and all those emails that Emily and I were talking about on LinkedIn that nobody's converting, nobody's calling. They're often their move is to just do more of the same cover letter. And so they're like, I'll just put out 100,000 emails. That doesn't do anybody any good. It's better to send out 5 emails that are high converting because you took the time to work on them than spray and pray. And that works for sales. It works for CVs. Because with a CV, everybody is selling themselves. And the kind of mental switch you want to make is that you want to lead the hiring manager on a buying journey. You're not trying to sell to them. You're trying to persuade them to buy you. And it's a fine distinction, but it feels differently. And I get that all the time. The people I connect with on LinkedIn most often when they send me a blind connection request are the ones who are like, here's how I provide value. Do you want to connect? They're not worried about me connecting that minute. They don't want to do a quick chat because they're busy too. Telling people that you're always available. I'm available at your convenience to have a quick chat about. It just means you have nothing else going. And that's not what people want on a buyer's journey. You want to tell them that you're doing things and that this job, you're really looking for the best fit. You believe you're the best fit for these reasons, but you're going into that interview and in your mind, partially you're thinking that they may not be the best fit. I've gone into some interviews that I really wanted. They looked amazing. They were not places where I would be set up to succeed. And when I outlined my solutions, I got resistance and pushback. And rather than convincing them, like, you just want to work with me, which just leads to, layoffs and hurt feelings and everything. I really went through and like, are you the right fit? Here's what I would do. Does that sound like what you would like? Does that fit your company culture? So that is kind of like how I use that. And the reason I put that in a project is now I can go in and I can click back on this upper link and I can add those cover letters to the project knowledge using that copy and paste method, or I can upload it. And it makes this machine smarter and smarter on how I want my cover letters written to sound like me. And then I can also ask questions over here. I'll be like, what are my weaknesses for this job? And it will tell me, and it will go look at my resume. It will go back and forth. So that it's just, I use Claude as a get to know me place. And the reason I don't use it for everything is that I can go to Notebook and do other things. So jumping between windows. Here we are at my notebook. You can tell I even have some real jobs in there. Shh, don't tell people. And you can create new. I already created one. And this is great because you can upload like your Google Docs if you have your resume in there. Google Slides. This is amazing. When companies send me their slide decks or their pitch decks, I will put them into Google Slide and connect those. I put in the company website using this link. And I specifically look for if they have what it's like to work for us, company culture. So I put in that and I put in their products or services. So I put in both those links. And then I'll do an example of, I'm in another window. I went into YouTube and I searched for Emily Landon crypto. So then I'm going to jump back to, it's playing. Sorry about the noise. And then I'm going to paste in the Emily Landon crypto, and that will show up in sources. And if it grays out, that means for some reason it's just not using. And then I will often copy and paste the text directly in. And I'm looking at right now. I went to the Crypto Recruiters website. Here's a head of growth position. And rather than copying and pasting, since I have the website, I'm just going to copy that and go to sources, add a source. I'm going to add the website, Crypto Recruiters, head of job growth. And then I'm going to add another source. And I'm going to add just a file. And this I'm going to upload It could be a resume that we have generated and a cover letter we generated in that previous step over in Claude. I'm just using one of my resumes that I previously made. And I try to get at least 3 sources in. One should be about the company and the job. If I knew who the head of growth company is, I don't know if she has it listed. Full-time remote experience. There's not a lot of detail in that. I'm going to actually go back to, I went back to LinkedIn, and I'm just going to get a different job. And I can unclick that. I don't even have to get rid of it. And I'm going to see if I can copy and paste in LinkedIn. LinkedIn likes to, let me do it. Sometimes LinkedIn, oh no, it wants me to sign in. So that one's not going to work. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to say copied text. And then I will just copy the text in LinkedIn just like we did before. So this is the kind of thing where I said, you don't just trust AI to do it for you. You kind of have to figure out ways to get around some of the problems because everybody's trying to figure out themselves how to do it. And then I'll go to the chat, and here it's summarized what's going on. The source is an excerpt from a podcast about Emily Landon. I'm pretending like she's the hiring manager for this job. Has a few little interesting things here, and I'm like, oh, that's great. I can do a mind map. I can add notes. And then it has these like little questions, like what are the key trends that I should know about? Often I will add in more information rather than just asking it what key trends are. I'll go on to news.google.com and look for the company, see what their latest press releases are. Did they just have a merger? Did they just release a product? The LLM may or may not know. And I will just put that in as text. And then I'm like, oh, hey, here's some great trends I should be able to talk about. And rather than talking about the trends, I want to talk about how I meet those trends. So knowing there's significant hiring activity, VC and venture capital investment in the space, I could go talk about the certification I just got in governance, risk, and compliance, and how that appeals to venture capitalists. In-demand roles, data analytics. I can say, here's how I've used data analysis in the past. I know a little bit about Solidity. I don't know anything about Rust. I've never heard of Elixir before. And I could put that into, I'm not a developer. So when I'm going to a technical marketing position, I might say, I know Solidity. I know of Rust. I don't know anything about Elixir, but that gives me a great place to learn and ask questions of the developers. This just is more information about, here's some challenges. And this challenges are great. Finding hard to reach talent. That tells me that recruiters are getting tons and tons of applications, tons and tons of resumes. They're not finding the right talent. That is on me. How do I become the right talent? Difficulty for women in the space doesn't really help me, but it can, maybe I want to talk about how I've worked with a lot of women-headed companies like the crypto recruiters. And that just tells me that it tells a potential employer that I'm good to work with and I am able to flex with whatever the market is. Ageism, I have 19 years of experience. Maybe I want to put in 15 plus because I don't want to look too old. Different things like that. And then I can save this to a note. And that is great because now it goes into the next phase. I can also do a briefing document. It'll tell me everything about, let's see, it might be taking a minute to generate. It tells me everything about the company and how I fit. And when I told you I put those documents kind of back here, the briefing document is often the one I will use. I'll put that behind the screen, or I'll put it right next to me. And this starts building up that information bank for our two hosts. And this is where I was talking about. I customize it. You can do it just regular, but I went through and customized. And I'm squinting. Here we go. And I'm going to copy and paste a prompt that I wrote into this box. What should the audio host host focus on? And I want to customize this. So I know that the company is called Next Gen Coding. Next Gen Coding. This is telling the LLM where to look. I know it's a CMO position. I like to repeat Next Gen Coding. Next Gen is all one word. This just reminds it that it can go look. And I have an issue. The prompt should be less than 500 characters, which I have too many. I'm going to take out how my experience matches the job. Doesn't need to be grammatically perfect for a prompt. And that gets it under 500 characters. And then it will happily generate. And this can take a minute. You don't have to sit here and watch it. While it's doing that, you could generate a study guide on the company. I like FAQs a lot, especially when they're tailored, because it kind of knows what I'm doing, Notebook LLM, because it can see these different documents. So it has a feel about what I'm trying to accomplish. It may get it wrong, may get it right. And let's look and see what it came up with. So some of the main challenges, and this is that garbage in, garbage out. You can tell just by kind of throwing some documents in there. But, like I didn't really choose the best YouTube video. Go back and narrow it and revise it. And then I can convert this to a source, and it adds it back to that big source document. That audio is over in the studio. So I'm going to go back and see if it hasn't finished. The audio is really, it's not highly necessary. Some people think it's a little hokey. I found it really good. It actually talks to me by name. It will analyze my resume. And some people are like, they learn by reading. Some people like to talk things out and to listen. And if you're on the go, like you're driving to an interview, you can actually play this audio in your car or on your headphones right before you go in. I like multimedia. Sometimes I'll generate pitch decks. So I'll go into an interview and they'll say, tell me about yourself. And I'll say, if I'm online, can I share my screen? I have a pitch deck. And often they'll be like, sure. If they give me questions, answer these 3 questions about your background in X, Y, and Z, or how you would approach this challenge. I might do a deck as a visual thing, but I'll also do it as audio. So I can record audio right over the deck. And well, that's oh yeah, here it is. It's 15 minutes long, which is interesting. Okay, so hopefully you can all hear that. Emily, did you hear that?
I did not hear that.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can.
Is there a link you can drop for other people to hear it, potentially? Only a download?
There's a download. There used to be. I swear there was a link thing. Oh, and here it is, that create audio overview in more languages, in case you just feel like having your audio in a different way. Basically, it's just this little audio that said, okay, we're going to act as your personal executive recruiters to coach you through this job as CMO at this company. And then they list off, they say, we have your resume, your job description. I'm not sure exactly how to change the audio. I might have it muted somehow.
Don't worry
Anyway,
about it. It might be a StreamYard thing.
the other thing
Oh,
is
you know what? I got it right here. Here, hold on. You gotta unmute. If you look at the bottom of StreamYard next to you, me, and your screen, there's a little speaker that says unmute screen audio.
Stop screen settings, stop cam, unmute. I do not see that button on my end.
Okay, never mind. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's not important. It's technically like, you know, you can outload it or download it. You can upload that file to you know, your Google Docs or something like that, so you can take it with you and listen. But while we're in this space, so we have this little happy thing. You can even rate it if you really want to. There's this interactive mode. I can actually talk to them. I can join the conversation.
Wow.
Or I can go over here to chat if I want to write, and I'll be like, what are my 3 shortcomings I should address when applying or interviewing? You don't always know exactly what you're going to get. Sometimes it'll be a little odd, but AI is really trying to please you. It can be infuriating sometimes, but you can nudge it periodically and say, "That's close, but instead, give me this." So here it is. It's based on the job description and the candidate's profile. Even has my name right there, and I like it. It has these little footnotes. It's telling me where exactly it's getting all this information from. So it says one of the things I should or demonstrate right away is experience in their core technologies beyond Web3. And it says like specifically AWS, GCP, and Azure. So I know I don't know much about those right away. And if I get an interview for this, they obviously want to talk to me about something. So I could really jump into how the things I do know, Ethereum, Polygon, ZK rollups, etc., relate to AWS. So, or something that is similar of like, well, I don't have specific training in AWS. I do have extensive certifications in Google Cloud, which is very similar. And I am currently in the process of learning how to bridge those two. Whether or not you are currently in the process, before the interview, you should definitely jump on and say, you know, take a class or, you know, ask AI, what are the 3 most important things I need to know about AWS, but I need to learn about AWS? And you can tell them in the interview, these are the things I'm learning right now, because I know that's a need of yours. It says I should articulate my experience in full-time sustained leadership roles rather than fractional or vice president. And so this is where I could say something like, you know, yes, I have been a fractional CMO, and I know you're looking for a full-time, but the reason I took on these fractional roles was to get experience in a broad range of industries so that when I do take on a full-time position, I'm really able to work cross-functionally with people in these different spheres or in these different industries or even roles. And so it's just a matter of you want to acknowledge any shortcomings you have and attempt to resolve them right away. Even if you don't fully resolve them, you're demonstrating this is how you learn. This is you have self-awareness. In the old interview days, they used to say like, tell me about a weakness you have, which everybody hated that question. And for a long time, I would start by joking and say, my number 1 weakness is how to answer this question. And then they would laugh, and then they would start to frown, and they would start to write something down, and I would say, and here's what I mean by that. And I would actually analyze why that question is a problem for me. And I'll say I have a lot of varied interests, and I always put it in like I am learning how to summarize my abilities more, which helps me identify specific weaknesses once I can summarize what I have. And then usually they'd start nodding. And that's when I know that I'm on the right track. And so, like, acknowledging you have weaknesses right away. In the old days, they would go, say you're a workaholic, say you don't know when to quit. Everyone knows that's garbage. Don't use cliches. So actually acknowledge, like, hey, I have, like, in this particular job, I know my weakness is in AWS or Azure. And so here's how I'm working right now to overcome those. Another weakness that I was just talking about with somebody last night was I take so many classes and I push so hard that I always feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I have constant imposter syndrome because when I get too comfortable, it tells me that there's something I don't know and I get nervous. I don't know what I don't know, and I always want to know what that is. So I learn frenetically, and I always should feel a little insecure. And then a lot of companies will be like, okay. And they may phrase this different ways. Like in blockchain, they'll say, I hear a lot, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate how much of a blockchain native you are. That doesn't mean much. But I never answer 10, never. I always say I'm an 8, and here's why. Because of the 80-20 rule, or there's 20% more to learn, or this morning, I just saw 3 new ERC protocols get released. And so to say I am a 10 at something that just got released this morning would be unrealistic.
It's a great point.
Yeah, it tells people that you're not blowing smoke up, their nose or wherever one
up things.
Up things.
Vince, so we've gone through quite a few things. We went through CV cover letter engine, helping people tailor their application materials to every job, prompting tips to avoid that dreaded, that sounds written by AI, but also producing content that focuses on your audience. We discussed candidate profiles that identify and list what you're good at according to your materials. What you're interested in, who you are as a candidate, and which job categories / jobs you should currently target. So we also did a little pre-interview training that talked about how well you are a fit for jobs you're currently applying to, the values, personalities, and quirks of target companies and their executives, and then written and audio interview prep files. I am blown away by how you have learned all of this through all of your certifications, trial and error, working together. I think this is something that was very exciting to share with our network. We're going to clip this up, and it's recorded on the platform already, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, but we're going to clip it up, make it a little bit easier and digestible. Vince, is there anything you wanted to leave us with, or anything that we didn't get to?
Oh my gosh, there's always more. One of the reasons I choose a limited number of tools is AI changes every day. I haven't had a chance to look at ChatGPT this morning to see what came out last night. They do that all the time. So don't feel like you're out of date, or don't feel nervous or like you'll never get this, because it's moving so fast that absolutely nobody knows it all. And anybody who does say they know it all is making it up. Or they just looked on ChatGPT this morning and asked ChatGPT. So yeah, confidence in learning. Just keep pushing. You don't know what you don't know until you run into it. So make your mistakes early and often.
And find a company that celebrates your weakness or has a team that makes up for it, right? So Vince, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you dropping all the alpha to our network. I think this will really help a lot of people. So I'm glad you were kind enough to come do this with us. Any last words?
Anytime. I feel bad. I just found the comments tab. So
that's okay. We addressed most of them. Don't worry about it.
Very good. I just see my pet peeve word is granular. I hate that one too.
That's our friend Jess. Jess, we got to make sure your profile is public. We got to work on that. Vince, thank you so much. Everybody, we will see you next week for Blockchain Brunch. Tomorrow do we have Bullish On posted? I don't know that I have anybody to be on Bullish On. I think I forgot about that. Anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you later. Thank you so much for coming. Vince, hang on with me for a second while it ends.
Absolutely.